All right. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. I apologize for those of you who are over on Rockfin trying to figure out what's going on. I couldn't figure out what's going on. My stream was, there was something going on. I just kept getting an error code. So I apologize for the quick shift over to YouTube. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Rockfin isn't. I couldn't. It wasn't working. The stream was going, but there was some kind of error. It wouldn't actually let me start it. So I tried it like 3 times and it just never worked. So sorry about that. So I don't know. Here we are. Friday gas strike on YouTube. It is. So come on in, guys. Please like the video. Please remember to make sure that you are still subscribed. People coming in, thank you. Thank you for making the shift. Kind of hate these last minute diversions, but that's what happens. I don't know. I'll keep trying to figure out what's going on. It worked last week, but maybe not super great. Poppy Davis, hello. So I know that you guys were all over on Rockfin trying to get on Rockfin. So I absolutely know all of you were on Rockfin trying to get on Rockfin. Thank you for trying. I appreciate it. This is the fallback. So it's good there's a fallback. Oh, you forgot about the Rockfin Friday thing? Yeah. Well, right now it's Gas Strike Friday, or Friday Gas Strike, which I actually think is kind of cool. So I think we'll keep doing this. Whether it's on Rockfin or YouTube, we're going to keep doing Friday Gas Strike live stream on Fridays, right? So there you go. All right, so lots of news to cover today. Let's get into some news. Say Andrew Glickson article. Make my studio work. Here you go. Andrew Glickson article on the website, The Conversation. Not saying anything new, guys. At several points in the history of our planet. So the title is, While We Fixate on Coronavirus, Earth is Hurtling Towards a Catastrophe, or not a catastrophe, worse than the dinosaur extinction. At several points in the history of our planet, increasing amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have caused extreme global warming, prompting the majority of species on Earth to die out. At several points in the history of our planet, increasing amounts of carbon dioxide, I just read this, in the past, these events were triggered by a huge volcanic eruption or asteroid impact. Now Earth is heading for another mass extinction, and human activity is to blame. I am an Earth and paleoclimate scientist and have researched the relationships between asteroid impacts, volcanism, climate change, and mass extinctions of species. My research suggests the current growth rate of carbon dioxide emissions is faster than those which triggered the 2 previous mass extinctions, including the event that wiped out the dinosaurs. That's not good. The world's gaze may be focused on COVID-19 right now, but the risks to nature from human-made global warming and the imperative to act remain clear. The next mass extinction has begun, if you're not clear on that. Current atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide are not yet at the levels seen 55 million and 65 million years ago, but the massive influx of carbon dioxide means the climate is changing faster than many plant and animal species can adapt. A major United Nations report released last year warned around 1 million animal and plant species were threatened with extinction. Climate change was listed as one of the 5 key drivers. The report said the distributions of 47% of land-based flightless mammals And almost 25% of threatened birds may have already been negatively affected by climate change. Many researchers fear the climate system is approaching a tipping point, or many tipping points, or has already reached some of those tipping points, said tipping points. Is loss of Arctic sea ice a tipping point, or is really, really close to losing all Arctic sea ice? Is that a tipping point? So, of course, it's a tipping point when we have a blue ocean event, but, we're getting awful close, and it doesn't seem to be that there's anything other than, dumb luck or randomness to keep us from experiencing a blue ocean event. So yeah, this will create a cascade of devastating effects. Of course, there are already signs tipping points have been reached. For example, rising Arctic temperatures have led to major ice melt and weakened the Arctic jet stream, a powerful band of westerly winds. Yeah. And here you go. That graph looks kind of like cases of COVID-19, right? If you look at the COVID-19 graphs, you see a graph that looks like this. So there you go. Yeah, I realized it was getting kind of slow there for a second. So yeah. This is boiled rope lamppost says sunny 70 Fahrenheit in Gold Country, California. There you go. Had Valmer joining us from Oregon. Deb Van Poelen, hello. Please remember to like the video, guys. Thank you. Gene, how you doing? So this is not new news, right? Going south says triggering future loss of all sea ice way back in 1950 was the tipping point, right? So some people think the tipping point was actually going down this road. Starting the ball going down the road, or the ball running down the mountain, or the snowball gaining in mass and speed. Boiled rope lamppost, planes, traffic picking up, more haze. You know what, man? I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video if I have time. Yeah, I have internet issues today, and I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. It's not my garage door, please. It's not the garage door. It's partly that, but it doesn't really make sense that it would be so bad. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know if a wood door would help. I'm not really sure. However, people who are concerned about climate change should be glad for the coronavirus. It sounds weird to say, right? Not glad for death or illness, but for the removal of the veneer of normalcy. The veneer of normalcy was the biggest impediment to taking action on climate change. How could we possibly change? How could we possibly stop the march of the maw of capitalism on a dime? On a dime. Well, that's been exposed as a lie. We can stop. And we can stop without total chaos, right? Mass riots haven't broken out. You could say that there's some chaos in some places, but the world hasn't fallen apart necessarily, or some semblance of a system or organization hasn't fallen apart. We've stopped much of our activity while keeping certain things going. And we can stop without total chaos if the powers that be tell us what's happening, right? That if they say, hey, this is a problem, a much, much bigger problem than coronavirus could ever possibly be. We can stop without total chaos if the powers that be tell us what's happening and take care of people during the transition. So, you get people to stop and you tell them that we're going to take care, we're going to make sure that you have money and food. How do we do this? We just print the money. It's not that hard. We just give people, money and food. It's not that hard. We give people health care. We give people what they need in order to, survive on some level. A Green New Deal should be, there is a Green New Deal, if ever there is one, a Green New Deal should be heavy on the compassion. Because how can we be compassionate towards the earth if we aren't compassionate to each other? And, for the most part, that's a serious problem. Some countries do compassion a lot better than the U.S. Some countries take care of their citizens on a much better and higher level than we do in the U.S. But, for the most part, if you look at industrial civilization, it's not high on compassion. We might be compassionate towards ourselves or our own people, but, we do that at the expense. We live how we live at the expense of other people. We live how we live at the expense of the planet and resources and people working for very little money every day to make those things that we like to buy. I've been thinking about the problem of humanism and human supremacy. It's a tricky thing. Like I'm a humanist. I identify as a humanist, but I also see the problem with human supremacy. So there's a bit of a disconnect when we want only good things for ourselves and we can't extend that to the planet. But I think that that's a natural extension. I think that people who have a bigger capacity for compassion generally extend that to the rest of the planet. How well they do that or how well they understand the ways in which we can do that better, that's another story. But of course, that's mostly about education. Compassion is compassion. We don't really extend compassion toward each other. We try in theory, but for the most part, we still kill and starve and oppress each other. We still can't stop killing black citizens of this country indiscriminately. We can't stop letting the poor fall through the cracks. We still can't stop letting corporations rob everyone blind. We still can't stop exploiting the rest of the world and its people to feed our gluttonous system. No wonder we see nature as ours to exploit. How can we stop that without extending our own abilities for compassion and care? In the end, the problem is us. It's always been us. If we're not going to get better, we're not going to do anything for the planet. So I'm still a fan of compassion and compassionate degrowth. If ever, or there was an answer, or if there is any answer to climate change, it is compassionate degrowth. Less so than, we've been talking a lot about overpopulation, or even the conversation around overpopulation. I still think that's a conversation to be had, but the ultimate goal should be degrowth. Degrowth of our system, degrowth of our resource usage, degrowth of our consumption, or of our economies. We need to live with much, much, much less than we do. And lo and behold, here's the blueprint. The blueprint has been laid out for us. Now again, the problem is us. Now again, the problem is convincing people that this is the thing that must be done in the face of this problem. Anyways, good article by Andrew Glickson. I didn't really read the whole thing, and again, it's stuff that we already know. We know all of this is happening. Anthony Gilbert, thanks for trying, man. Thanks for trying, guys. I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I don't think so. Raza, I just think that Rockfin has more technical issues than I can overcome in one day. I just wasn't going to be able to sit there and try and troubleshoot it and get online quickly enough. Humanity says we need human change first. Amishify all the things. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Rudolf Zavedno, a material degrowth on every level. And again, I think that's one of the disconnects from the, maybe it wasn't presented very well in the Planet of the Humans documentary. I mean, that whole thing wasn't really laid out. It was only touched on around the edges. But really what people are wailing and crying about that documentary is like, oh my God, what are you talking about? No growth? No green growth? How dare you? The dude says The Hill had Josh Fox on to shill for the global industrial capitalism and denounce the Planet of Humans. But of course they did. Of course they did. And that's, look, not all climate change activists are alike. Of course, we know this. Not everybody embraces, the doom or the idea that, that we're going over a cliff much, much sooner than later. And I think that's something that people can hold in their minds at the same time if they're allowed to, right? You can figure out how to hold the idea that like we've got scant few hours left on this planet, and also try and do your best to counteract the destruction. I think that you can do both. You can have both things, in your hands or in your mind. And deal with it on that level. It doesn't have to be either or. And indeed, Deb Van Poelen, the indigenous peoples had it going on for many 10,000s of years. Indeed. Yeah. I'm almost tired of talking about the Planet of the Humans movie, but it's all of the people that are slamming the movie are, obviously, of course, right? Technology is advanced somewhat since they filmed some of that movie, or over some of the things that were said in the movie, but it's still the same bottom line. It's still fueled by fossil fuels. The grid needs to be intact in order to, compensate for intermittency, et cetera, et cetera. And exactly, the overall problem is growth and, pollution, human pollution and destruction. Right, exactly. And that's really their problem. The problem is, oh my God, you mean we can't keep going on with the things we're doing? That's the problem. Normies are freaking out. Indeed. Indeed. Yep. But hey, maybe the conversation could take a better turn. I don't see the conversation taking a better turn yet. I see a lot of people slamming the movie instead of saying, well, let's have a conversation. I see some people, engaging in a conversation about it and saying like, okay, so here's the movie, here's the responses to the movie. Maybe we can find some kind of, balance to the information and figure out what the upshot of it all is. So, I actually didn't see that interview with Josh Fox, so I'm going to go check that out. I'm very interested in seeing that. Right. No representation says tech can advance, but if the planet has 8% efficiency, it has 8% efficiency. Right. Please remember to like the video, guys. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to another story. This is, okay, so the other day we were covering a little bit about, or talking a little bit about Spygate and what it was. I don't think, definitely, people on the Democratic side or on the liberal side don't understand what's going on at all. And one of the main reasons why they don't understand is because everything about this has been slanted by the mainstream media or slammed by the mainstream media as, some kind of weird Trumperisms or, they're trying. So the whole verbiage from the Democrat or the liberal media is that, everything in Trump land is a lie. Everything that all these people say they're all just so corrupt and just horrible people that nothing they could ever say is true. And it's all a plot and it's probably connected to Russia, blah, blah, blah. And they doth protest too much because actually some of the things are true. If they were actually covering the news in some kind of balanced fashion. And no side is covering the news in some kind of balanced fashion. But anyways, the developments around Michael Flynn has been very interesting. Again, blowing the lid off the idea that Russiagate was real. Russiagate is a conspiracy theory and a scam. That doesn't mean I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump supporter. I just, I believe that people shouldn't be illegally spied on or shouldn't be, coerced into saying things in order to entrap them, which is what happened with Mike Flynn. Whether I agree with these people's politics or not, I still don't think it's, I don't think it's fair or right to entrap people or to run shady intelligence operations against people that are mostly illegal. And that's what Spygate is all about. And this is an unfortunate time for Democrats right now because all the stuff that's coming out around Biden and the fact that Biden is just the worst possible candidate for Democrats to run. And all this Spygate stuff is going to start coming out now. And Democrats are just going to look like a flaming pile of shit. And it's going to be very hard, I think, for Democrats to continue on the we're right and we're morally upstanding people, and all these other people are terrible liars. It's going to be really hard to defend that position in the coming days. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because it's going to leave a lot of people confused about what's going on, confused about who to believe. And then, when the Democrats go down in flames again, everybody's going to be standing around crying, going, how did this happen? Well, it happened because you believed lies. It happened because you watched the TV and went, oh, yeah, this is all true. So, start with your own brain when you're looking for somebody to blame. Again, humans. FBI docs suggest agents prepared to close Flynn case, then reversed course. Michael Flynn's allies say the new filings offer more evidence that the FBI concocted its case against Trump's ousted national security advisor. This is bad, guys. This is bad. The FBI took steps, and it's bad if, it's bad because if you are looking for, Trump to lose in November, if hoping that he will lose, I don't want him to win, but I just don't see how he could not, because I don't see how Biden's going to win unless they replace him. The FBI took steps in early 2017 to close this investigation into former Trump advisor Michael Flynn before abruptly reversing course. According to new documents filed in Flynn's pending legal effort to rescind his guilty plea for lying to federal agents. There's a lot of interesting theories on why he pled guilty. The filings indicate that by January 4th, 2017, the FBI had drafted a document summarizing findings on a probe codenamed Crossfire Razor of whether Flynn had been acting as a Russian agent during the 2016 campaign. The partly redacted document, which was included in the court filings, indicated the FBI had no derogatory information on Flynn and were prepared to close the case. They had nothing. And this whole thing was like, so he pled guilty. Oh my God, he's guilty. That's proven. Russian collusion. There was no collusion. He pled guilty to lying. That doesn't necessarily mean he was colluding. They just entrapped him. Same with Roger Stone, by the way. I'm no Roger Stone fan, but Roger Stone there was no collusion. They got him in a lie, or he lied about his connection to Julian Assange. That doesn't prove any collusion. So but the way it was worded, the way it was presented to the press, and everybody was like, see. A review of logical databases did not yield information on which to predicate further investigative efforts, the document reads. But messages later that afternoon between senior agents and FBI officials show a last-minute reversal driven by discussions at the Bureau's highest levels. Hey, don't close Razor. FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok, where have we heard his name before, wrote to an agent whose name is redacted but is identified in the conversation as the official case agent. He adds seventh floor. Anybody understand what seventh floor is? Involved, a reference to the highest echelons of FBI leadership. Seventh floor is actually what people think of as, where the actual deep state administrations are going on. The partly redacted messages don't indicate why the reversal occurred. It came just 20 minutes after the document to close the case had been circulating, and less than a week after Flynn spoke by phone to a top Russian diplomat. So he was just doing diplomatic stuff. He was doing transition stuff, which is what every administration does. But they tried to turn it into some kind of collusion thing. Notes from one senior, we're also talking about a general in the Army who was National Security Advisor, which is probably something that they would be doing anyways. Notes from one senior FBI official believed to be former counterintelligence chief Bill Priestap indicate that agents had discussions about whether the goal of the interview was to get him to lie so we could prosecute him or get him fired. Though the official noted he leaned against that approach, it's unclear what further deliberations occurred and how the final call was made. The documents released Thursday reveal more internal machinations at the FBI, unearthed during a review ordered by Attorney General William Barr, who tasked the U.S. Attorney from the Eastern District of Missouri to lead the effort. The judge in Flynn's case, Emmett Sullivan, later Thursday ordered Flynn's team to halt the piecemeal production of new documents and to only add new information to the court docket once they get everything the U.S. Attorney is going to provide. So, on the whole, this looks like, again, what has been described as the Dems, they're basically were trying to cover up for their misdeeds during the Democratic primary and for the stuff that was released in the Assange emails, the WikiLeaks emails. There was evidence. There has been evidence uncovered of money laundering when the Clinton Foundation is involved in money laundering. That the Clinton team was money laundering through the DNC, et cetera, et cetera. They're just involved in some bullshit, some crazy bullshit, which they should be held accountable for. So, I'm just not a fan of corruption on either side of the aisle, which there's plenty of corruption on either side of the aisle. There's plenty of corruption in the Trump administration. There's plenty of corruption going on in the DNC, and all of it is shitty, which is why I don't identify as a Democrat or a Republican, why I'm not identified with any of those people. Osama, Ventura 2020. Dude, I dig it. I'm totally there. So yeah, this is if you need further evidence, more evidence will be coming out about the fact that not only was there not Russian collusion, or Russiagate was, founded on a lie, but all of this investigation, this FBI investigation that was run on Trump, was pretty much illegal. And so that is not good. This is not a good time for this to be coming out. For Democrats, I'm sorry. It's just a bad fucking time. If you think that Trump is going down just because Biden is the guy, please remove the plank from in front of your eyes. Please dissuade yourself of delusion. And when and if Trump wins in November, don't cry. Don't cry about anybody else but the Democrats. Just realize that, your house is built on sand, and it's time to figure out, rebuild the foundation. Point the fingers at your own house, figure out, clean the house, figure out what you need to do better, and whatever. I've heard ideas about Hillary. Could you be any more delusional? Could the Democrats be any more delusional than to let that happen? If I were anybody involved in the Democratic Party, I would be like, hell fucking no. There is no way Hillary Clinton gets anywhere near the presidential campaign. Anywhere near. I would actually censure her. I would say, stop talking. That her endorsement of Biden was probably one of the dumbest ideas the Democrats ever did. As if they think that makes them look better. Her endorsement is probably more likely to, make Biden's ratings go down. So, I don't see it. I don't see it, and it's sad. All of it is super sad. Very, very sad that this is the state of the Democratic Party right now. Let's move on to another story. So this is interesting because the Democrats are proposing another package, coronavirus aid, $1 trillion. Supposedly this time is gonna, we're gonna help the people and the essential workers. So Pelosi is requesting this. This is funny though. Jim Clyburn, no mask. So, Pence was just this crazy lunatic with no mask the other day on CNN. All the mainstream media was like, Pence, my God, you monster. Jim Clyburn just kicking it with no mask. So there's like a double standard for Democrats. Also, Chris Cuomo, testing positive for coronavirus, and he was like out and about, just, traveling around with his family. And then he lied and said he was in his basement the whole time. Again, whatever. Mainstream media just doing mainstream media stuff. But this is interesting because House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Thursday that state and local governments are seeking up to $1 trillion for coronavirus costs. Oh, now it's a stunning benchmark for the next aid package. They've already given away, up to $6 trillion. They say 3, but it's more like 6. And nobody asked, how are you going to pay for it? Nobody at one time said, how are we going to pay for this? They just did it. So a stunning benchmark for the next aid package that's certain to run into opposition from Senate Republicans. Oh, whoa, there's opposition. There was no opposition from Democrats for the last aid packages. There was no opposition from anybody. But, all of a sudden, Republicans, they're going to get in the way. It's those Republicans' fault. That's why we can't pass this package. It's their fault. Pelosi acknowledged the federal government may not be able to provide that much. Oh, what? How are we going to pay for it? Is what Pelosi is going to say. I don't know if we can afford it. But she said money for heroes is needed to prevent layoffs as governors and mayors stare down the red ink in their budgets. Oh, whoa, whoa. Many jurisdictions are facing rising costs from the health pandemic and plummeting revenues in the economic shutdown. Oh, okay, so we're running out of money. The best way Americans can support frontline community workers, Pelosi said, is to make sure they don't lose their jobs to budget cuts. Okay, so I agree with that. But how are we going to fight? How hard are we going to fight for this? This is something of the highest priority. Pelosi said it honors our heroes. Okay, those are all really nice words. The $1 trillion price tag comes after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell shifted his tone, suggesting he is open. All right. The eye-popping figure could be... Why is it eye-popping, though? I don't understand why it's eye-popping. Because $6 trillion already. So, one more trillion. Oh, my... Whoa. See how they're acting when we're talking about, direct aid to people and workers around coronavirus. When we're talking about that, it's eye-popping. It is, whoa, I don't know. I just really don't know. But there wasn't even a sentence about how can we afford this in the last stimulus bills. Not one person said, how can we? There were people saying they were mad about where this money was going and who was not getting money. But they weren't mad about the amount. At the White House, Donald Trump said, we'll see what happens. Trump also said, if we do that, we'll have to get something for that. Who knows what that means? We'll have to get something. What does that mean? What are they going to get? Anyways, yes, of course. This package is going to be for the people, but this one might run into some Republican resistance. This one might be a difficult one to afford. Yeah. Anthony Gilbert, yes, indeed. Check this out. Clarifying what many in climate movement have known all along. Our financial institutions are in bed with fossil fuels for short-term gains and long-term destruction. Indeed. Please remember to like the video, guys. Sadly, it will be the workers, our communities, and those on the front lines of dangerous fossil fuel projects who will bear the true cost of the damage. Yes. Right. I'm Sweet Leaf. All the trillions that matter go to profit interest. Indeed. Indeed. Let's move on. We've got more to cover. This is wild. And this is raising some eyebrows. And by some, I mean many. Dr. Fauci backed controversial Wuhan lab. Remember a couple weeks ago when I was reading the story where they actually, were suspected, the idea that this could have leaked out of a Wuhan lab wasn't actually that far-fetched. And that, that wasn't a conspiracy theory at all. Dr. Fauci backed controversial Wuhan lab with millions of US dollars for risky coronavirus research. So the reason why this is crazy is that, months ago, apparently, Fauci said something to the effect of, Trump's going to have to deal with something, pretty substantial very soon. Something to I'm paraphrasing and I'm not even getting the words right. But basically, Fauci warned that something was coming very soon. He intimated that something was going to happen soon. So people were like, what the hell? What is going on? What really is going on? Again, take the virus seriously. Take the effects of the virus seriously. Protect your health. Protect your family's health. Protect the people around you. protect essential workers' health. This is a serious situation. However, the source of this virus is really getting very, it's getting hard to tell what is going on, and people rightly have questions around it. And so, the idea that, it's a conspiracy theory to bring this up, or that this is, some kind of craziness to question what's really going on with where this came from and the reaction to it, I think is, completely valid, especially since this is from Newsweek. All this stuff is coming out in mainstream or larger, more well-respected news channels. Dr. Anthony Fauci is an advisor to President Donald Trump and something of an American folk hero for a steady, calm leadership during the pandemic crisis. At least one poll shows that Americans trust Fauci more than Trump on the coronavirus pandemic, and few scientists are portrayed on TV by Brad Pitt. But just last year, the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, the organization led by Dr. Fauci, funded scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and other institutions for work on gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses. In 2019, with the backing of NIAID, or National Institute of Health, committed $3.7 million over 6 years for research that included some gain-of-function work. The program followed another $3.7 million 5-year project for collecting and studying bat coronaviruses, which ended in 2019, bringing the total to $7.4 million. Many scientists have criticized gain-of-function research, which involves manipulating viruses in the lab to explore their potential for infecting humans, because it creates a risk of starting a pandemic from accidental release. SARS-CoV-2, the virus now causing a global pandemic, is believed to have originated in bats. U.S. intelligence, after originally asserting that the coronavirus had occurred naturally, conceded last month that the pandemic may have originated in a leak from the Wuhan lab. Conceded last month. U.S. intelligence. Okay. At this point, most scientists say it's possible, but not likely, that the pandemic virus was engineered or manipulated. It's possible. Dr. Fauci did not respond to Newsweek's request for comment. NIH responded with a statement that said, in part, most emerging human viruses come from wildlife, and these represent a significant threat to public health and biosecurity in the U.S. and globally, as demonstrated by the SARS epidemic of 2002-03 and the current COVID-19 pandemic. Scientific research indicates there is no evidence that suggests the virus is created in a laboratory. Really? Okie dokie. We'll just take your word for it. Yeah. Yes. The story just gets weirder and weirder. It doesn't actually stop getting weird. And that's, again, when this all started, if you guys remember, when this all started, weeks ago, over a month ago, a month and a half ago, when this really started to ramp up, I was saying, I said, this thing is going to go down. It's going to be crazy. All kinds of hell is going to break loose. There's going to be all kinds of fallout from this. And for years, there's going to be people dissecting what really happened. Years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we're going to start seeing analysis, reports, investigations, whether it be by alternative media or mainstream media. But there's going to be a lot of things coming out going, oh, what really happened was this. Oh, my God. Right? And we're going to find out that what we thought was happening was not at all what was happening. And, of course, if that news is coming from alternative news sources, everybody's going to cry conspiracy theory and cry, oh, my God, you crazy people talking about what's really going on. How dare you destroy the official narrative. But nobody knows what the hell is going on. And we're still finding out. China has WMDs. Indeed. And yes, you're starting to see some really alarming conversations being had on mainstream media about this was China's fault or whose fault was this. And, there's actually, exercises going on. There are military craft, U.S. military ships in the South China Sea, and people are posturing and maneuvering, and some people are suggesting that this could be a ramp up to some kind of actual war with China. I don't know if that's actually what's happening. Yes, Russ Taylor. Is that what we're really aiming towards or steering towards? I don't know. Poppy Davis, thank you. Sorry, Kevin, I thought you were nuts about the virus origin story. Indeed. Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people, pointed fingers at people saying you're a lunatic, you're crazy for bringing this up, or why are you saying this? Oh my God, how dare you? This is mainstream news. This is U.S. intelligence agencies admitting that we don't know. There's a possibility. We funded this lab in Wuhan. Oh, there's no connection. Wait a minute. There's a lot of connection. There's a lot of connection. Lightning rod. Oh, I didn't hear anything about that. How about the gigantic helicopter from Canada that floats, that totally exploded and ejected the crew, one body found so far? I didn't even hear about that. I don't know what that's connected to, though. I have no idea. Anyways, we're going to keep following this story. And, guys, it just keeps getting worse for Joe Biden. He's actually been forced to address this problem. So he was on MSNBC this morning. So the way he stutters when he starts talking really fast. It's like, talking to it's like running into a homeless person that has some kind of mental illness. And they're kind of talking really fast but not making sense, or maybe they did a lot of drugs. I don't know, but this is Joe Biden, how, part of his interview this morning on Morning Joe.
Investigated this exhaustively. They didn't find any of your former staff members were able to corroborate the details of this allegation. She did file a police report a few weeks ago with the DC police. But since you want to set the record straight, why limit this only to Tara Reid? Why not release any complaints that had been made against you during your Senate career?
I'm prepared to do that. The best of my knowledge, there's been no complaints made against me in terms of my Senate career, in terms of my office and anything that's been run. Look, this is an open book. There's nothing for me to hide. Nothing at all.
The New York Times has investigated.
Yeah, that was believable. And what is going on with Joe Biden when he... I mean, it's so painfully obvious that something is going on with him. When he's like... When he's talking and stuttering and just stringing words together and barely making sense. This is bad. He looks bad. And he's coming out in full denial. I don't know how many people are going to believe this. I don't know how many people are going to be like, yeah, sure, I believe you, Joe. It's super painful. It's extremely painful. This is more crazy. Hold on. More craziness. This is on mainstream television on The Late Show. Guys, here's some more. I hope I don't get any strikes for this, but this is wild. Okay, I'm going to read this first. How sick. Just look at Stephen Colbert and Bill Gates giggling like schoolgirls about Gates' next prediction of a bioweapon terrorist attack, this time with a high death rate. So he's predicting, right? So that's good. He's been predicting all kinds of stuff lately about how we're not going to be able to travel or, go out of the house unless we have our vaccines or our certificate of vaccine, etc., etc. Here he is predicting a bioweapon terrorist attack on mainstream television.
Try to warn us about this pandemic, and we didn't listen. What's the next thing you're warning us about that's going to happen 5 years from now that we're not listening to at the present?
Well, I didn't want to be right. What I wanted to do was...
I understand. I'm not saying you won.
investments.
Everybody loses. Nobody wins with this, and I'm not saying that you're. This is not an end zone dance. I'm just saying, what else are we not listening to that we need to take action on now?
Well, the idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not
Okay.
trying to depress you, it's tough enough
Too late.
right now,
Too
that
late.
most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1, most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterror.
All right. Bill Gates keeping us safe. You feel safer? Or maybe you guys weren't seeing that. Well, you heard it, so that's okay. Yeah, Bill Gates predicting a bioweapon attack. So I feel good that they're taking measures. To keep us all safe. Oh, and lastly, this is very interesting. Guys, I'm going to show you this. I was talking about, I did a little story about Obama doing crazy stuff while he was in office. But anyways, the whole time we were supposed to be fighting ISIS, right? There was this whole ISIS stuff that was kind of part of the reason we were in Syria, right? Weren't we in Syria to fight ISIS? There was, remember the beheading videos and, oh my God, they're on the rampage. This ISIL forces were there to protect people from ISIL. Listen to this.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
We're speeding up training of ISIL forces.
As I've said before, this aspect...
So yeah, Obama basically says out loud on a microphone that we're training ISIL forces. I don't know if you guys saw that or not either. I don't know what's going on with my... Did y'all hear that? Did anybody see that one? I don't think y'all saw it. You just got a voice from the past. Hold on, let's see if this works again. Nope. Let's see if it works again. Nope. Okay, it should work. That time I had to press it really hard.
in Anbar.
Here we go.
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar.
All right. Well, if it didn't get it that time, then I don't know what's going on. Exactly. I mean, we, for whatever reason, my My things are not working. Nothing works. Exactly. Poppy Davis. Kevin, we were fighting East then, and we've always been. Yeah, it's weird. Well, anyways, I played it twice. Now you guys heard that twice. I won't do it again. Valhalla. Why doesn't Bill Gates focus on fixing Xbox Live? Just fix that mess of Xbox. Right, exactly. Russ Taylor, 9/11, the only planes flying. We're taking bin Laden's family home. Indeed. Right, exactly. We trained bin Laden. He was a CIA asset. Do you think you think they let him out of the gang? Do you think they just let him go? I don't think so. I don't think they did. Yeah, ISIL was ISIS. ISIS and ISIL were one and the same. And so he admitted that we were training ISIL. And there's actually a lot of proof. There's other proof that we were basically funding and giving weapons and aid to ISIS. But the entire country thought, whoa, we gotta go into Syria because the ISIS was bad. That was bullshit. It was complete and utter bullshit. It was a complete mind fuck, is what it was. Daesh too. Yeah, all of them. All of them. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. I've reached the end of my time. Appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for jumping over here on the fly for the Friday Gas Strike edition. And again, yes, all of this is to keep everything in place, all oil exploration in place, and fossil fuel companies in place, and militaries in place. God forbid if you suggest that the military and industrial complex be defunded on any level, that intelligence agencies possibly be overhauled or defunded on any level, because those are the guys that run things. Valhalla, thank you so much for the super chat. Bill Gates, fix the damn Xbox Live. Fix it live. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will see you tomorrow here on YouTube at 11 a.m. Peace.